Hey, what is up, my pottery family? If you have no idea who I am, I'm so sorry. My name is Emily Edens. I am the PotterEden, and today we are going to be discussing slab handles. Boom! If you would like to see how I made this gorgeous handle, just keep watching. Slab handle making is exactly how I got started, so let's get into it. First, like always, let's wedge the clay. It's wedging time! Roll it up into a cylinder and start slamming it on the table. Now, when you slam it on the table, you want to make sure that when the clay actually hits the table, it hits it at the bottom first, and then the rest kind of falls down so that the gravitational pull makes the clay grow in length. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to do this in all different directions, so it's more of a rectangle. You can also throw it towards yourself like this. Now, we aren't going to do this too much, but just enough to really flatten it out some, and then we'll be rolling it out the rest of the way with the rolling pin. The wooden rolling pins work best in my opinion, just because the other materials like plastic or metal, the clay just tends to stick to the surface. If those are the only things that you have to work with though, you can always lay a piece of untreated canvas on top, or you could also use something like baby powder or cornstarch so that it doesn't stick. You'll want to pay attention to how thick your clay is, because if you make it too thin, it won't support the weight of your vessel. Make sure that after every pass, you flip it over. If you do multiple passes without flipping it over, what you'll end up doing is just further pressing it into your working surface, getting it stuck, and you won't see the clay stretching out on either end. And that's another thing. If you're doing it right, you'll see the clay stretching out with every single pass. If you're like me and you didn't wedge your clay enough, grab your pen tool and poke 'em, pop 'em like a pimple. All you have to do is just stab down to the center and then smooth out your surface. Make sure that you don't see any air pockets moving around under the surface. Once you're done, grab your plastic rib and we're going to compress both sides. This helps to smooth things out. This step is really important, so even if you only have a metal rib tool, that'll work. Just really compress that clay. Next, we need to evaluate the size and shape so we can map out where we're going to cut. I'm going to cut off the bottom and top to help make that easier. My ruler seems to be a good size for a handle, so I'm going to cut the width of my ruler and then take off the sides. Grab your trusty knife tool and go ahead and start cutting those handles. The next thing we need to figure out is a rough estimate of how long our handles should be. I'm going to start off by measuring the width of my hand as well as the depth. Those two added together with an extra inch is going to give us that rough estimate that we need. The reason you want to add the extra inch is because you always want space between your fingers and the vessel, especially if it's meant for hot things, so you don't get burnt. Also, shrinkage. Just checking the thickness, should be about the same as your finger. I'm going to cut this down so I have a variety of different sizes to choose from. The easiest way to smooth these out is to rest it on the palm of your hand and run the sponge along the hard edges. If it's not perfectly straight, go ahead and manipulate it with your fingers to straighten it out. You can either drape your handles on a rolling pin for that more rounded handle, or you can bend them into an arch like this and set it on the table upright or lay it on its side. I prefer upright so it has sufficient drying all the way around. Make sure that when you're smoothing these over that you make sure to flip it front and back multiple times to ensure comfortable handles. You can also run your thumb down the middle to create a divot for your thumb and fingers to rest in while you hold the vessel. If you prefer a bigger divot for your thumb, you can create a thumb rest out of your scraps and attach it to the handle after it's been attached to the vessel itself. Here's an example of a handle that I made where I didn't smooth it out like I should have. The one thing I do like about this handle is that it kind of slants, so it's really comfortable in the hand. It's kind of a natural grip. However, you can definitely see those harsh, semi-sharp edges, and you can even see the imprint of the canvas that I roll it out on. So I cannot stress this enough to you. Make sure that you smooth everything out really nicely. And here, my friends, is a very well done handle that I did. It is actually one of the first mugs that I ever made. And look at how smooth. So beautiful. P.S. I used all underglaze for this puppy. If you're curious about how I did this beautiful design, go ahead and check out that slide out card above. And you'll see the paper stencil tutorial that I did. Once again, you can see that I have contoured the handle to fit the curve of my hand so that it has a natural grip. This is by far the most comfortable slab handle I have ever made. Alrighty, now that this has had some time to set up and dry a little bit, I'm gonna go ahead and select my favorite handle, shape it, and pick the vessel that it's gonna go on. I made two options, but I really think that it's going to look best on the straight-edged mug more so than the curved. Just for a comparison, here is a pulled handle I made, a very different aesthetic for sure. And attach the handle to the vessel as normal. Trim it down to the perfect size. Make sure you figure out that perfect handle placement. Score it. Now slip it, attach it, blend it out, smooth it, clean it up, and if your handle is still too wet, just grab something like a wadded up paper towel or a sponge and prop it up while it dries. And voila, it is a masterpiece. Gold star, chef's kiss for you. Well, I guess that is it. You have made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoy your slab handles because I think they turned out fabulous, you know? If you would feel so obliged, go ahead and share it with your friends because that's really nice to do and that helps me out and I really seriously appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed, there's a button here for that. So go ahead and do that. And if you haven't checked out this video, I think you should check it out. And while you're at it, go ahead and watch a playlist because then you can see a lot more of me. Okay, that's all. Bye. Thanks and enjoy your handle.